Okay, here's a quick video about the periodic table. And I'm going to recommend that students go to ptable.com. It's an interactive periodic table. It's color coded. Up at the top, it has all kinds of information that you can use. More than enough melting point, boiling point, electron affinity, stuff that we're not even going to cover in 7th or 8th grade. But it's still interesting, and if you're a chemistry student, it's even better. Go use this one. You can change the temperature to see what happens for liquids, solids, and gases. So there's that. And I just want you to understand that this is a tool or a resource that you should be able to access and should access. Really quick, I'm going to go over a few key points for those who are new to the periodic table. Periodic table is broken up into columns and rows. These columns are referred to as groups or families, and there's a couple of key families that I want you to know. All right, so this first one right here is the alkali metals. The second family, or group 2, is the alkaline earth metals. And then we have all these transition metals, which are kind of important, but we're not going to focus on those. And now over here we have group 18, which is the noble gases, and group 17, which is the halogens. Okay, there's other ones here you can go through and take a look at, but halogens, noble gases, alkali metals, and alkaline earth metals are the 4 major groups that we will focus on in class. And then your transition metals are kind of important, that we will talk about some of those. There's one other interesting section of here that's not really a group per se or family in the down column way, but it is this metalloids right here. I click on metalloids. Okay, it will tell you that it's an element which has properties in between or a mixture of metals and non-metals. And these are your metalloids right there. They make a little staircase between your post-transition metals and your non-metals. Okay? And they have characteristics of both. It's kind of interesting. And we'll get into that later. For now, let's get back to this concept of how it's organized. I told you that we have these columns, which are called which are called groups or families, and then we have rows, and rows are called periods. And sometimes people want to know, well, why is there this big gap here, and then all these are together? And the answer to that is periods are set up so that each period or each row has the same number of electron shells. So this has 1 electron shell. These ones have 2 electron shells. These ones have 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and so on. And we'll get into that later on also. But right now, just understand that they're set up in rows, so that way we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 electron shells. So only hydrogen and helium have 1 shell. Lithium has 2 shells, as does beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, and neon, and so on. Now, it's also numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, and that's just the atomic number. And that atomic number is based on the number of protons that is inside that element. So helium has, over here, helium has 2 protons. Lithium has 3 protons. Hydrogen has 1 proton. So as we add protons, we just go a little bit bigger, a little heavier element, and we just get a little heavier as we add these protons. Protons are what make the element what it is. If you take away a proton from lithium, it is no longer lithium. It has now become helium. So atomic number and the number of protons are the same. So if I ask you how many protons does something have, you just got to find it on the chart. So calcium is number 20. It has 20. Another part of this would be the atomic weight, or the atomic mass, I should say, is down here, which is 40. And that is simply the number of protons plus the number of neutrons on average. So 20 to 40 means there's 20 neutrons. When it comes to electrons, we're going to start with the base information that the number of electrons are always equal to the number of protons, so that all these elements are neutral in their neutral form. So if there's 20 protons, there's 20 electrons. And that's the basic concept here. We'll get into this more as we learn more about chemistry, but hopefully that gives you a basic understanding of the periodic table.